Hello watchers, I've got a bit of a mixed mash video today. There's a bit of a haul from Marks and Spencer's and Fortnum and Mason with the products they have released for the Platinum Jubilee. Also, I'll be giving my sort of like 2 cents on the Jubilee designs, not the products themselves, but the designs that they've created for the Jubilee. Then I'm going to talk about the inspiration that spurred me on to make a new Lino cut print, and then finally I'm going to get into the research, planning and designing of the actual Lino cut print. I'm going to leave timestamps below in the description so you can jump to which interests you more. So let's get into this. Now, for those of you who don't know who or what Marks and Spencer and Fortnum Mason are, here's a little brief intro. Marks and Spencer's, or M&S for short, was founded in 1884. They are a major British multinational retailer, which means they've got stores pretty much every city and every town in the UK. I believe they've gone international as well. I think you'll find them in select international countries as well. They specialise in clothing, beauty, home products and food products. They have a famous food hall, which is, I would say Marks and Spencer's is the kind of shop that's, you'd find the middle classes sort of doing their weekly shop. So it's not cheap, but it's not ridiculously expensive either. Whereas Fortnum and Mason's, which was found in 1705, which is obviously the much older one of the two, are a department store in Piccadilly, London. Now there's only one, the original, which, as I've said, in London, but there's a couple of pop-up stores. They've just opened one in King's Cross, and I believe there's one at Heathrow Airport as well, but they're tiny little, just a little taster of what actual Fortnum Mason's is. And I believe they've opened I think it's a medium-sized store in Hong Kong, oddly enough. But yeah, there is literally only one real original Fortnum Mason's. So you've literally, in the UK, if you want to go to Fortnum Mason's, you've got to go to London to get these. You know, you can't just pop down your local high street. This shop, Fortnum Mason's, is pretty much the type of shop where the upper classes would go and do their weekly shop, because it is much more expensive and much more exclusive, hence there's only one in the country. Okay, so let's get into the haul. I'll start with Marks and Spencer's first. Now, the design that they did was very much red, blue and white, and obviously a bit of black. So very traditional British colours for the Union Jack. And they've created these simple vector sort of characters that, you know, say Platinum Jubilee, let's celebrate. You know, we've got a little Scottish influence. You know, just having a little parade in these little nods to the Queen, i.e. there's a little lady here with her scarf around her head and an umbrella. In other designs, they've got like a little corgi. So on the candle that they released, they've got a corgi just there. And then it goes around. Now this candle has got LED lights in it. So when you light the wick, the LED lights come on as well. So it gives extra brightness. I'll put some B-roll in of what that looks like all lit up. So they released a set of tea towels. So this is obviously one, then one with just crowns on, and then one with just the Queen's Guard on them. So this was a set of 3 for £9.50. So that's quite nicely done. Then they also released other stuff as well, but I'm just showing you what I got. Obviously the candle as well. And then a bone china mug that's got the Queen's Guard on it and just simply says Queen's Platinum Jubilee all the way around it. And Queen Elizabeth II. They also, oddly enough, I found this quite odd anyway, they released some bedding sets. And I did purchase one of them because I just love this crown is all embroidered and it's the same all over the bedding. And obviously this is £59, but this is the for the Super King, so it's the largest one. It's just these crowns dotted everywhere around, as you can see on the photograph on the back. But I couldn't resist these little embroidered crowns. But you can use this all year round. You've not got to use it just for the Jubilee. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. Then there was a musical tin. I'll just do it a little bit, which shows the characters going round. But the tin itself is all like embossed with this beautiful pattern, and the lid, of course, says Queen Elizabeth II, 1952 to 2022, which is all very nicely done and lovely. But my favourite item, let's just pop that towards the back, is the fro. They've done this beautiful Union Jack fro, but the Union Jack is made up of flowers. So, I mean, I like seeing the Union Jack, but I do think it's a bit footballer-ish, you know, when you see them everywhere. So the fact that this is made up of flowers makes me so much happier, because it just softens it a little bit for me. That's my little psychological thing. But along the edge, you've got all the red, white and blue. But I also like how it's weaved at the back as well. So you don't have to have the Union Jack side up. But this is a fro you can use all year round, not just for, you know, the Jubilee. But I really like this. It's 100% cotton, so it's not too heavy or too thick for the summer months. And I've just whacked the top camera. Oopsie daisy. There we go. So I really like this one as well. So that's just a quick sort of a few bits that I've got. Now, what Fortnum and Mason's design is completely different to Marks and Spencer's. For starters, Fortnum and Mason are famous for this colour. This beautiful mint colour, because that's the colour of the shop facade at the bottom. All the wood panelling's that colour. But they have done this beautiful crown design. This is a tea towel, by the way. Those Brits are obsessed with tea towels for some reason. I'll just try and get this all in one shot, I think. That's about as best as it's going to go. But the printmakers of you that are watching will realise that this is a print-made design. And whereas I think the Marks and Spencer's were very much screen printed. Well, it's obviously been screen printed onto the cloth, but I mean, originally the design was made to look like a lino cut print. But the design of the Fortnum Masons I find much more sentimental to the Queen herself, whereas the Marks and Spencer's was very much to celebrate British and the traditional icons of Britishness, such as the Queen's Guard and the crown and stuff like that, whereas this is much more sentimental to the lady herself. We've got a horse racing, which she loves. Corgis, of course, she loves and has bred quite a few throughout her lifetime. Lily of the Valley, to do with her father. Pigeon racing again. Something she was heavily into. The swans, that apparently all the swans in the land belong to the Queen, so they cannot be harmed, even when they like to attack you. Yes, swans do attack you. And then cabbages, for a little nod to Prince Philip, who apparently affectionately called her Cabbage. So I find this design so much more relatable for the Platinum Jubilee for our Queen. And I obviously love greens, and this colour is just my thing. Now, the other thing that I got from Fortnum Masons was the tea caddy, because I wanted to see what the design would look like on a metallic surface, which again, it has not disappointed at all. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you can see it there. And then I also got a little jar of their beetroot and roast jelly. A little jar of their beetroot and rose relish, which is now empty because we have scoffed that. That was absolutely delicious. We had it on pork pies, Scotch eggs, with a little bit of quiche. It's not a massive jar. It's only an 8-ounce jar, but it was absolutely delicious. So if we can get another jar of this, I think we will. I just wanted to see how the print would work on a small scale, which it does on a label. It works quite nicely like that. They're the only items I got from Fortnum Masons. So overall of the designs, between the designs of them, I do prefer the Fortnum Masons because I think it's much more fitting to celebrate the Queen, because that's the whole point of the Platinum Jubilee, is to celebrate that she is now our longest monarch. We've never had a Platinum Jubilee in our entire history. So I do find it's more befitting to celebrate her in her reign, whereas the Marks and Spencer's one just sort of celebrates Britishness. So it's a little more generic, I would say. So yeah, that's the little haul and the little explanation between the two different designs. Moving forward, now, after seeing this and then watching the video of, how the designers came up with this and realised sort of how the process that they went through to create this beautiful design, I realised that they'd gone, into Lino cut print to get the style of this illustration. And it just spurred me on to sort of get back into printmaking, because I love printmaking, but I've not been inspired, to create anything for a while with printmaking. So it really has spurred me on. And what I've decided to do, because Fortnum Mason is such an iconic building, I'm going to do the facade of the building, but not how other people have done it. Okay, so let me get my sketchbook out to show you more what I'm on about rather than just me rambling. So this is an A4 landscape sketchbook. I've chosen this type because when it's opened up, this is the full size of my print bed here in the studio. If I wanted to print bigger, I would have to go to a workshop and obviously pay for the pleasure of that. So at home I can just print this long anyway, but obviously no wider. So the first page is just sort of going over the other bits and bobs that Fortnum's released, and then sort of about the design of what they'd done. And I do love this quote. It was the design bridge, by the way, that did design the crown. And I love this quote, that Design Bridge's royal memorabilia is a far cry from your nan's coronation plates, which it is. It is very modern, it is very now, but it is also very much the Queen. So it is very much a far cry from that, which is why I just love that. And I love this illustration here that someone's done. These are just images that I pulled from Google Images. So none of these are mine, so I can't take credit for any of these beautiful designs. But I love this illustration because it tells so much story about Fortnum and Masons. Because they are bakers, they have their own bakers. They even have beehives on the top to create their own honey. And this is in the centre of London. So it's just, there's so much story in that one little illustration, and I just think that's fantastic. The next page again is more of other people's designs and photographs. I've noticed that everybody that's done a Fortnum Mason sort of elevation, it's just literally the square box with all the detail in the middle. Whether they've simplified it or they've made it complicated, whereas this one's more complicated than obviously this one. It's it's just a square box with the details in. That's the way I see it. That's how everybody sort of approached it, whereas I wanted to do it a little bit more exaggerated. These are just some photographs of obviously the details of the building at different times, and to show like dramatic lighting or the very clever details, and then obviously Fortnum and Mason themselves. Please do research into Fortnum and Masons because it's got quite a fascinating history, where they started out just from making candles. But yeah, and then there's me starting to sketch sort of the overall shape, because I wanted to break out from this square sort of box that everybody else has done. I wanted to pull it apart and sort of stick it together in sort of like a collage way. So what I decided to do is take some photographs and put it into Photoshop and exaggerate the perspective, as well as just pulling out certain elements. So it's showing all the different elements that the building has, but it's not repeating it all, so it forms a square. So it makes this interesting shape, which I was really loving. I've then gone over by hand just to pull out the line work rather than, you know, working over photographs all the time. Then I went into Procreate. I think I'll leave an overlay on that because it's not very obvious because I've done blue line work. And just pulled out all the line work. And then this is an illustration by Eco Illustration over on Instagram. And I really like the colours of this. This shows exactly sort of what Fortnum Masons is, but without being too theatrical with it or too oversaturated. So I was trying to replicate those sort of colours with the pens and pencils that I've got, and sort of colour in like the bits that I want to do or not do. Now I'm not going ahead with this colour scheme because it's too, like the green for instance, it's just far too much. Whereas this cobalt green that I've got up here in the corner will be better for it. But yeah, and then there's just lots of notes of what I want to change and not change, which is where I'm at this moment. And then this is just the actual size of what the print will be. So it's bigger than A4. And it just shows how detailed, hopefully I'm going to be able to get the final print to look like. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at. So I'm going to work on this a little bit more because I know there's a few bits I want to change, and also the colour scheme really needs working on. And plus then, once I've settled on a colour scheme, I then have to then break down how I'm going to layer them on the top, which is what the next video will be about. The next video will be about how I create the colour palette from the one I've chosen, and then actually mixing it up into the inks, and then also breaking down how to cut each block or to do a reduction print, which I'm a little bit nervous of because if you make a mistake, it's over with. So I think I'm going to do it in different Lino blocks and cut each shape and then layer them on top of each other. I think that's what I'm going to do, but I will show that in the next part of this series. No, it's not a series, it's continuation of this particular project for the print sessions series. So yeah, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful and enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below of, you know, what you think of my design so far, and if there's anything that you'd want me to change maybe, or if there's something you don't like, or maybe you're excited to see, you know, just let me know. I will be happy to reply to any comments, and you know, as always, give me a like and consider subscribing if you're not already, especially if you want to see how this Lino cut print is gonna, you know, develop and be finalized. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and in the meantime, happy architecting.